Good evening and welcome back to Up Next with Outside Noise. I'm Kalen, and as always, I'm joined by my intelligent and beautiful co-host, Carrie. I am feeling a little under the weather today, so I apologize if my voice sounds weird or if I get the sniffles. How are you doing, Carrie?
Oh, I'm good. Yeah, if there's a coughing break, we're gonna have to edit that out. Excited to sit down in real casual style, go over out new projects that we've listened to this weekend. That we might talk about later in the week.
Oh yeah, there's already one of these that I'm pretty sure I'm going to write a review on.
Oh yeah.
Since I wrote a review last week, I kind of fell off the horse. Is that something people say? Fell off the wagon.
You didn't my thing is, like, you need to be careful how you structure this, because you didn't fall off anything. You've been doing a lot behind the scenes. You've been working hard. You're not, like, rotting in bed, and it's fine if you are, but you're not. You're working really hard. You didn't fall off any horse.
That's really sweet. Yeah. But it's my album reviews are
you
more...
haven't been writing as many album reviews because you're busy doing other stuff, but you found time last week, and you did it, and it was awesome.
And I would love to find time this week to review Temple of Hope by Saba, Alizadeh. This is a electroacoustic album that was composed by this Iranian musician, and it uses Iranian traditional instrumentation as well as like modular synthesizer stuff to kind of tell the story of the feminist uprisings that took place in 2022 after a woman was arrested and then murdered in prison for not wearing her hijab.
Yeah.
So it covers like it uses samples from like radio broadcasts and I think like social media posts that people were making about this like movement that sprung up, this feminist movement in the Middle East.
Yeah. And people using the media that comes out of the internet and modern stuff as inspiration and samples for their music is always really cool. I find it's interesting. I feel like certain movements are looked back from like a textbook perspective once enough time passes, but recent stuff isn't always remembered. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's cool when people are pulling, they're like, no, this was happening. These are records we have of people's actual social media accounts saying what is going on.
And so much of that stuff, especially like the social media data, gets lost so easily. There's not a lot of
absolutely.
like archive for this stuff.
Yeah. The digital aspect of it all. And so it is like just another way. I guess this could be lost too, but it is just another way to make it real and document it and everything. That's really cool. And the album was beautiful as well. I feel like sometimes in the pod with 4 people, you have to be careful when you say cinematic because sometimes it's used like almost negatively, but I feel like this was a really cool, this is a non-derogatory cinematic.
Appropriately cinematic, tastefully cinematic.
Very tasteful and like big and ambient and really cool.
Yeah. Great stuff. Very rich in references and again, using like those cultural instruments along with the modern like modular synthesis stuff creates a really unique sound that we don't get a lot of. So I'm excited to dive deeper into this album and to write a very thoughtful, moving review that's gonna totally blow up into numbers on TikTok.
Excited. Oh, that's
that
what
TikTok
we need.
is back. Yeah, that's the most important thing out of all of this.
Oh, you need the number go up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the priority. Gotcha. No, I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about it in the in-depth written out version.
Thank
Wonderful. You. I want to talk about an album.
Go, your turn. Go for it.
This project is called Calvinist Hospitality by Wootton. He calls it ritualist dub tribal industrialism. It's kind of psychedelic. It draws on the sort of tribal industrialism. You don't want to say like a trend from the 80s and 90s though.
Did he say the Wait.
Yes.
Okay, because when you were telling me about this album, I guess my brain misinterpreted. I thought you said the 1890s.
Oh.
I think you said like the 80s, 90s.
It's my 80s,
brain,
90s.
I heard the 1890s and I was like, oh, like the Industrial Revolution. Like we're building factories. I
think it's more 80s Industrial Revolution.
Right. That makes a lot more sense.
Okay, it does.
No, but I also had a really thoughtful takeaway because I was thinking of the actual Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
About all those warehouse spaces that were built in that
Yes.
time, and like these old factories that are now no longer in use as factories, but are
Right.
used as like warehouse rave clubs.
And like industrial music being its own genre now, but like where did that even come from? Well, it comes from industrialism and industrial spaces. And then you start thinking of like, I don't know, it's cool. They're drawing on this inspiration from the 80s and 90s, but they also say for the dance spaces of tomorrow, I guess is how they explained it. So this dance music, especially techno, has a lot of play with like past and future in the same way that you were talking about with the warehouses. And I feel like just the connection to industrialism and warehouses and art and arts, and how those are like things that are done in warehouses, crafts, things of that nature, handmade things, even sewing, like all of that is an art and is like handiwork and
is devalued to by the mass production of it all
in a similar way that art is. So, you know, I don't know, you think of like the gentrification of industrial areas where it just becomes a venue or whatever, but that's different than like a warehouse rave too. I don't know. I don't really have a point with all of this. I'm drawing a lot of strings, dropping a lot of them out.
Yeah, and also now that I know you're talking about the actual 80s and actual 90s,
Yeah.
the like sort of ritual thing that was happening, this like return to monkey kind of vibe. Well, I mean, we have this book, we have Modern Primitives, the research edition about that movement.
Right.
That was very popular, and you know, there are lots of things to say about it. That's a whole other podcast.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say too.
It's like weird, like fetishizing of.
Well, even just saying primitivism, assuming a culture that isn't yours and isn't white and European, is primitive, is not as advanced. Like that's a very problematic line of thinking.
Totally.
And so, and a lot of the quote primitivism at the time being very conflationary.
Yeah,
maybe.
and it's easy to like overlook any actual problems in those societies. It's a very like romanticized view of what life would be like if you were in like a hunter-gatherer tribe.
Yeah, so cool. And like, I don't know, you want to shine a light on different perspectives, but at the same time, the whitewashing was very strong at that time. And that was what I was saying too with the like PBS documentary of it all. It also is kind of soundtracky in that way. But this is super cool. It's
fun to listen to,
and very rhythmic. Very interesting. I think of artists, I believe his name is Keanu Nelson. He is an indigenous Australian musician who put out an album earlier last year. But his little town where like 400 people live or something, being very popular in this time, the 80s, 90s tribal primitivist, I guess, moment, for a very specific type of dot painting. And so that kind of grew in popularity. So there was like a little industry or whatever, and now nobody lives in his town, and it was just like fully gift shopified. But it was like their actual cultural practice.
Right. And I think this also maybe takes a little bit of influence from like Goa music, which is this sort of like Indian dance EDM style that is also very, very popular in that sort of scene of the like ritual, like post-tribal, back to nature types of hippies, of weird dirt techno hippies.
I love it.
All right.
So Calvinist hospitality. Looking forward to digging into
hospitality. Do you know why he picked the name?
I have no idea. I know. I'm like, I need to find reading about it.
That's why the 1890s thing made sense to me too, because I was like, oh yeah,
Calvinism.
Like Calvinism, I guess. Also not really tied to the 1890s. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna do a hard pivot and talk about. We're going to get back into the Vaporwave discussion that we were chatting about last week.
We talked about Vaporwave last week, and then on the weekly podcast, we talked about Vaporwave even more.
Is 2025 Vaporwave resurgence?
I would say,
is it doing like
podcast with all four people? It was more of a debate. It wasn't a resurgence. It wasn't a shedding light on.
I mean, it never really went away, but I feel like I've been impressed by a good number of Vaporwave adjacent releases.
Right. I think it's not superfair to totally write it off, because like you could write off a bunch of genres that we actively choose not to. So no, I think there's a place for it, and it's kind of been out of the conversation for a minute now, so maybe there's some fresh influence, and I feel like maybe that's what we're finding.
Yes, this is not super fresh influence, though.
Well, fresh as in, I don't know, because Vaporwave is almost inherently nostalgic and calling back, but you there needs to be some time for the genres to continue to be able to transform.
Yes. Well, on our Album of the Week podcast, talking about influences and stuff, I'll get to the actual album in a second, but just while we're on this.
Yeah.
Michael was talking about how he doesn't think, like, the mall is good or fruitful inspiration for things, and we failed to mention that, like, not every Vaporwave project is about the mall.
I know. I'm like, it's not the mall.
It's
US
not the
Golf
mall.
95 is about golf.
Sometimes it's the mall.
Sometimes it's the mall.
But it's not always the mall.
Sometimes it's the beach. Sometimes it's the city.
And sometimes it is 80s softcore pornography.
Sometimes it's hotline. Sometimes it's I know when that hotline bling.
Yeah, and if that sounds up your alley, I highly recommend checking out.
Not in a Drake way. Yeah.
No, not in a Drake way.
In an 80s and 90s kind of way.
In an 80s, 90s phone sex operator.
1990s.
Adults only $2.95 a minute. The first minute
really
and a half
expensive.
Is free. It was, yeah, they made a lot of money.
Yeah.
1-800-TONIGHT 2 by 1-800-TONIGHT. This is the sequel to their first album, 1-800-TONIGHT. And it's like 15, 16 tracks of like slow jam, very sexy, but even slower and sexier, like dreamy reverb, vaporwave.
Put a little touch on it though, like a modern touch, so it's not too lo-fi, like you said. There's like a bit of depth to it, just a little bit more than you would get from like your grainy TV in the 90s.
Yeah, it's just really fun. I loved listening to this. It just like,
Are there any like,
probably. Okay. There's probably some of that. Ooh, yeah, there's not like nothing too much. You can, of course, but it certainly
and that's
has...
part of it too. Of the time, it's like a response to the repression of the era and like the politics in place to keep people very modest. It's like you can't actually say it, and we can't be explicit, so you have to call and be very hush hush. And so very dramatic as well.
But we can do it at this point. You know, it's an option, at least.
Yeah,
but it's still like softcore too. It's not like anything like super crazy explicit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
it's like because of the conservative ideas and stuff, like you can't make it too explicit. You have to call to learn and pay $3 a minute to like. So sex sells because you're not letting it permeate at all.
Yeah, you have to keep it like sectioned off.
Yeah. So.
I know, interesting. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I didn't have anything meaningful to say.
I'm really trying to throw out a line here. Okay, not biting. That's fine.
No, I'm like, I don't know if I totally agree with that. I'm like, yeah, it was repressed, but I also feel like the 80s and 90s, this is also me speaking totally out of turn as someone who's not alive.
Right.
But looking back culturally, I feel like things were increasingly unrepressed, especially into the 80s, because this was after the release of like Deep Throat.
Like Reagan?
Yeah, I mean, he sucked. He was terrible. But culturally, we're, it's like...
I think for specific people, yes. But I don't know that that's the...
Straight people were getting pretty wild.
Okay, I don't think either of us have the information.
That's true.
To actually debate this. I just don't.
It doesn't have to be a debate.
Okay.
But
you said I don't agree, and then said I don't know.
I don't. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thrilling.
But I do know is that this album is all bangers.
I liked this album. It's really cool. I like it. Sort of. I tried to draw this reference to a time where, again, I wasn't alive. That because you weren't alive, also didn't understand you think of like public access TV.
Oh yeah.
Experimental stuff of the era as well. I feel like this does a great job, just like really taking their just with the sounds. You can almost see the like little TV ad. I don't know.
And
very
both
sensual and smoky.
Yeah, this is when you could still smoke cigarettes inside.
Yeah, that's not what I was talking about.
Oh, not that type of smoky.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, this album definitely smells like cigarettes and like cheap
for sure
80s perfume.
Oh, it smells like bad
and
tequila.
carpet mothballs.
Yeah.
And both of the Bandcamp comments on the album were asking the artist to put out cassette tapes. So if only there was someone in this room who was really good at making cassette tapes.
If only somebody in this very room. No, we'll ask. We're in our era of just asking.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. 1-800-TONIGHT hit us up.
1-800-TONIGHT will make tapes of your sexy album. Do you want to know about my next album?
Yes, please.
Okay, this one is called Seventh Heaven or 20 Things I Hate About You by 5 Days a Slave, which also
interesting artist name.
That's all.
Maybe it's about like the 5-day work week.
Oh, that's probably actually exactly what it's about. It's really cool. It's very DIY bedroom style, minimal electronic, kind of an emo flair, but in a new wave. Also 80s kind of a way. We're having this like throwback week.
I guess so.
Really
I really liked what I heard from this too.
This is cool. Yeah. So very like I said already, lo-fi. You really make cool melodies and these repeating ideas. Like I said, made at home, simple little riffs and stuff, but they're layered really densely, and this person has a ton of different ideas that they explore throughout the whole album. Cool.
I liked your point too that when we say bedroom emo, that often means like scrams or screamo.
Yeah. This is not scrams. This is more sing-songy.
This is more like Death Cab for Cutie emo.
Kind of, yeah.
Sort of, but
harder, better.
Yeah, but better.
Not like indie emo. No, it's I don't know.
Remind me the name of the album again, too.
Seventh Heaven or 20 Things I Hate About You.
I love that, too. It's very, like, high school kind
of.
It
is, yeah. It's a good vibe. And this person just puts out all their projects on 5-track recordings. I think it's just them.
Nice.
This is all projects made by Samantha McGee. So it's really cool. I like it.
It was very... nostalgic and heartwarming.
Yeah.
I liked the electronic elements too. I feel like they're tastefully done in a fun sort of, not like indie-tronica, not like super twee, but like a little twinkly, little twinkly emo moment.
Super fun.
Love it.
And the artist is small. I think it's just the type of project I think we could write about.
Totally.
I might have to chew on this one this week and see what I can make happen. Highly recommend it. Sam McGee making some great stuff right now in the like minimal synth
emo pop bedroom core folk tronica.
I almost said synth punk and that's not what it is, and so I ended up saying synth pump, which is bad. So I was reeling from that for a few seconds.
Not quite.
I had to process that for a minute.
Am I going to talk about my last album on my list here today? It is Abstractions of Dead Dreamers by Pale World. This is a harsh noise album. It's not totally harsh noise, so some real harsh noise purists might take issue with that. Mm-hmm. So it does go into like ambient and then builds up.
Why wouldn't you want your harsh noise to like have up and down? I don't know.
They like the harsh noise wall. They like just the
But if it's just the wall, it's less interesting.
I agree.
Okay.
And
we don't have to get into that. That's just my thoughts.
It's hard for me to write about that stuff or listen to it. Sometimes I do. I have to really, really be in just the right mood.
That's why I loved the Lydia Roberts record so much, because it was harsh noise wall that had that noise that permeated pretty much throughout the whole thing, but she layered under it these really pretty piano things and spoken word and stuff.
Yes.
So.
Then you might like this album because it does that too. It's very hauntological, as you can tell even by the name of the album. It kind of goes into like these different almost character studies and explores these different like dreamscapes that just become like layered and layered and layered until it's totally unrecognizable, and then it guides you back out of the labyrinth that the song takes you into the core of. It's great, really great stuff. I would definitely recommend if anyone's a harsh noise hater, give it a shot. Maybe maybe you'll get into it.
Roberts, both of those I think have been great ways to sort of introduce me into the genre. Don't think I'll be becoming a harsh noise wall purist anytime soon. Yeah. But I'm a fan, and I really liked the way that they grew the sound in this project.
Yes. I have so much appreciation for whenever they're able to like guide you into harsh noise before you even realize like what's happening.
Yeah,
it's like when you find yourself like in the deep end of the pool and you look down and you're like, oh
shit. Yeah.
It's cool.
That is really cool. Oh, that had made me think of something, but I already forgot what it was.
That's pretty much all I have to say about this one. That might be another one that I can write about. I don't think I can do 2 album reviews this week. Well, I'll have to pick.
I want to support you, and I want you to achieve everything that you think you can achieve. But I feel like 2 album reviews in 1 week for Kalen is a lot. It's a lot. I got a lot going on. Yeah, we're busy. We're busy bees. What can I say?
Maybe Michael will write about one of these and pick up my slack.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not my slack. In the album reviews department.
Yeah. Okay. When I corrected you earlier, I don't mean to. It's fine. You can say pick up the slack. I don't know. Okay, great. Last album, Psychic Geography by Doves. This is a really beautiful project. It's a duo. I think they only just started making music together. They had like one small project before this, but it's just very beautiful, free-flowing acid music.
It's like acid ambient.
It is, yeah, electronics. And so because of that, I guess it strikes a really cool balance between feeling botanical. You know, I feel like Plantasia's the obvious reference.
Yes.
But also very twinkling and more
and
electronic.
Like spacey.
Yeah, and so I feel like it's an accurate sort of acidic way of looking at things. more of like more lab-like.
Okay, I hear that, and sterile. That's exactly what I was gonna say without even like prior discussion.
Yeah, we didn't talk to each other.
Yeah, of like usually when I hear ambient music or even like ambient psych stuff, like what was that album? It was called like Death in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Yes.
Maybe.
Oh my god. Yeah. You can keep talking.
I'll put the album that I'm talking about in here. And that album is also like heavily influenced by like psychedelia and is placed quite literally in a garden, and so there's all of these like cicadas and like babbling brooks and stuff, and this is totally removed from like anything this resembling humanity.
Exists in the electronics plane and kind of dips its toe literally in a little lake. You know,
are we the lake? What do you mean?
I'm referring to more of like the botanical nature aspect of it, where it's like it comes more from the electronics world and kind of slides into botanicals, whereas that one is like I'm in the forest and there's a computer on the ground.
Yeah.
In the forest, you know? So I don't know. I'm just looking at them like through a mirror of each other.
Yeah, this was really gorgeous. It moved a lot too for an ambient album.
It does,
not really minimal. It has a lot of ups and downs.
I need
and
a lot
flows
of variety,
and directions.
not to be I don't know.
not to be like TikTok brain.
Fake ambient TikTok brain fan. But I love when there's more of a narrative there, I guess, and it goes on a journey. And I really liked it, and it's beautiful. Hard to write about, hard to talk about often, but I feel like this Doves record deserved a little shout out. So
love it. Well, those are all of the pros that we're going to talk
good
about.
Albums.
Do we want to talk about this con? I almost feel like a pit in my stomach thinking about it.
I'll start it.
Lay it out there.
Why the hell not?
Go for it.
We're back with Hater Corner this week because
this is no longer constructive criticism corner. This is just straight up.
We had constructive criticism corner 2 weeks ago, and then today we called this destructive criticism. I'm not here to be nice. I'm not here to be patient.
Coddle, yeah.
I'm not here to play games.
Oh shit.
Why are we letting Borns put out an album? Listen, I come from 2010s indie pop, indie rock type of scene, and this guy was running the game. Electric Love, you couldn't walk into a Kohl's without hearing it.
You still can't walk into a Kohl's without hearing it.
You still can't walk into a Kohl's without hearing it.
That song really had like another like peak, I feel like.
Okay, I This is so
in the past like 2 years.
Pretentious and stupid. But I found that song at a bowling alley. It's not pretentious. But like when it first came out, I guess, as like a single or something.
That's not pretentious. You found it at a bowling alley. You kind of found me at a bowling alley.
I literally found you at a bowling alley. Oh, that's a story for another time. Yeah, we'll tell that story later. Anyway, I don't have to talk about how I knew about Borns before everyone else. It's not a flex.
No.
But the known predator Borns is who we're talking about. Who is just
alleged predator.
Alleged predator,
allegedly.
No jail, but allegedly the allegedly said, okay.
Said that allegedly someone was hooking up with underage girls
while
he was on tour.
Allegedly. He was quoted saying like, it's just my preference. Like, oh, we just need young girls for my music video because that's what I like. Like, it's because
in all of his music was good. Very Melanie Martinez, other
like
known predator
and romantic, and feel good twinkly pop,
very like, yeah.
And
no, but I mean, even like aesthetically, we're doing like Lolita. We're doing
I don't know.
Kind of
Borns wasn't doing that. No, Borns is just doing like indie guy with long hair. He's not doing.
Well, it's all very like sweet baby. I don't know.
I think you're thinking that because you were 15 when all of that was coming out. I think you just associate it with being young. This is millennial music.
Sure.
We listened to it when we were teenagers because it's all we had, but it's for 30-year-olds.
It is now. No, it was not for 30-year-olds. Then I think it was for 15-year-old girls. Is very much the point.
He wants it to be.
Yeah,
but no,
it was at the time.
It's just bizarre that this guy keeps putting out music.
Well, he didn't. This is his first. Well, no, he put out an album.
He put something out like a year or two ago. Yeah, he's still just doing his thing, touring, trying to make it happen with his preference for younger women. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of people in my life who aren't necessarily plugged in just love this guy,
yep.
and there's no reason to. It also made me want to name Ben Hopkins as another artist of that era.
Me too.
In that exact same time, exact same type of vibe, where it's just this cool guy who's like a little, I don't know. I guess
like really, really friendly and really nice.
Yeah, and I guess
like,
Ben Hopkins is queer, but it's just like this, like you're almost trying to. You're taking advantage of this safe space that young people have, and it's really disgusting, and I'm over it. And then Ben Hopkins, who was in the band Power Bottom, who was also exposed for being a predator in like the 2015-16 time. I would say that's around the time all of these scandals happened.
Yeah.
Who has also come back with a solo career and tried to make it happen. I don't know how they're succeeding at it.
I'm not sure. Well, Borns is doing great with 7.6 million monthly listeners.
I wonder what the ratings on this album are.
I don't. We'll check. I did see one comment that said that it was pretty clearly about the Gations, and that it was really
like
creepy.
They're just allegations.
There's
no GAY here.
Yeah. They said that it was unlistenable and creepy in hindsight. Yeah. Not even in hindsight. In right now and currently, when
in hindsight, yeah. You're like, oh, this guy's just a creep. So.
And they said it was very like self-pitying and self-coddling and woe is me. And,
I was canceled.
Yeah.
That's what'll happen when you're a dickhead.
But apparently it didn't really affect his career much.
That's my thing. I'm like, why is it cancel culture when nothing about your life actually changed?
I mean, he got dropped from his record label. I think this is now an independent release.
Okay. You can get dropped because you wrote a bad album, Like, I don't know. That happens. Got dropped for being a predator. I feel like that's the least,
It's really literally the least that could have happened.
Absolute bare minimum. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Be careful out there, guys.
Hater corner.
That's why you have to kill the part of yourself that stands anything.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very important step.
Is you have to be ready for anyone. You have
right, especially of that era where Stan Twitter was so big and everything. It's just everyone wants to be as close to famous people as possible. Yeah. And it's like, people are a disease.
Oh my god!
You don't want to be close to anyone.
It's like what Sartre says: "Hell is other people."
Hell is other people. Do you think hell is a place, or do you think we're there right now?
Neither. I don't think loving God would create a hell.
I just don't know about hell.
I like what Pope Francis said, that he believes hell is a real place, but he hopes that no one is there.
Whatever.
He hopes
dude.
It's empty.
It's like, why are they even pretending to follow those rules?
Dude.
None of them are.
Do you have anything you're looking forward to this week?
Oh, that's a really sweet question. What am I looking forward to this week? Oh, I'm taking a dedicated day off tomorrow.
I love that.
I know, yeah. I briefly mentioned it earlier. I feel like even when I have less busy days, I still just have like this giant to-do list, and I just need to not write a list, and I just need to lay down.
I think you need to do that at least like once or twice a week.
I think so. I need a break. I know we just had the holidays, but I've been going for like 3 weeks now.
And
so I'm ready.
The holidays, we spend the entire holidays like with your entire extended family, and you're traveling, and you're buying gifts for everyone, and then you're on socially the entire time. That's not a break either.
Just been running, yeah, which is good. I mean, I had a great holiday time, like I said, but yeah, I don't know.
Break. Yeah, day off tomorrow. That's a great thing to look forward to.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Cool.
What about you?
I am going to a event at Laundrette Records here in Philadelphia on Tuesday, where they're doing a movie showing for this weird French 1930s avant-garde art film, and they're having a band do a live score along with the movie.
Yes, you had told me about this. This sounds really cool. I've never been to anything like that besides like a play or something, you know, not like a movie screening with the live band. That's going to be really cool.
Yeah,
what movie?
I'm excited. I think it's called The Blood of the Poets.
The Blood of the Poets.
And it's like weird, kind of surrealist French art house. We're doing some research. We're getting some supplementary information.
The Blood of a Poet.
The Blood of a Poet.
From 1932, not rated, drama experimental, 55 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know the band off the top of my head that's playing. I can find that information. We'll put them here. Great.
It has a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow, the people love it. I think if you like French art house cinema from the 1930s, then you'll like this. But if you like Marvel movies, then this might not be up your alley.
It's like what you're saying about the harsh noise wallheads. This is for French expressionist weirdos.
Yeah. Which I'm not a big like French expressionist guy. No, I don't know anything about that stuff, but I'm here to have fun. I'm here with an open mind,
directed by
open eyes and open ears. And we hope that you have open ears and eyes and a mind as well for the 6 albums that we covered today. And
I hope you close your mind and your heart off to the bad ones.
Great.
And the predatory artists forever and ever. Amen.
Right.
Have a great week, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for a little cash chat.
Bye.
That's all.
Bye. That's all. That's all, folks.